today we're really getting into something fundamental: habits. How we build them, how we break them.
Absolutely. And we've got some great material to work with, primarily James Clear's Atomic Habits, plus his website, and how he synthesizes all this research.
Right, from biology, neuroscience, psychology, even philosophy gets a look in. It's quite comprehensive.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to kind of pull out the core insights from Atomic Habits for you.
Make it actionable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Distill it down so you can actually use these ideas, like today.
Yeah.
Find those surprising facts, those clear steps, without feeling totally buried in information.
Okay, let's jump in. The first big concept, this idea that habits are like compound interest for self-improvement.
Yeah, that 1% better every day idea. It sounds so small, almost trivial at first.
But it adds up significantly over the long haul. It's a really powerful mental model.
It is. And what's key is that you often don't see results right away. Clear talks about this plateau of latent potential.
Ah, right, like the ice cube example he uses.
Precisely. Heating it from, say, 25 to 31 degrees, you're putting in the effort, the energy.
But nothing looks different. It's still ice.
Exactly. But that work isn't lost. It's stored up. Then you hit 32 degrees, the threshold, and bang, transformation.
So you got to stick with it. Even when you don't see immediate changes, the progress is happening underneath.
That's the takeaway. Persistence is absolutely crucial. Those benefits are accumulating.
Which explains why we see these overnight successes, right? They look sudden.
But they're usually not. It's years of that consistent small effort finally breaking through that plateau.
All that unseen work finally paying off.
And the building blocks for all this, that's what Clear called atomic habits.
Atomic,
Yeah.
like tiny fundamental parts.
You got it. Small habits that are part of a larger system, like atoms making up molecules. These little habits build remarkable results.
Okay, now here's something I found really fascinating: the link between habits and identity.
Oh yeah, this is huge. He argues that real lasting change isn't just about the actions you take.
It's about who you become, your identity.
Exactly. The example he gives with the cigarette offer is so clear.
No thanks, I'm trying to quit. Versus,
No thanks, I'm not a smoker. See the difference?
yeah, the second one, it's a statement about who you are.
It signals a fundamental shift in self-perception. Smoking isn't part of that identity anymore. We often focus too much on the outcome, like, I want to lose weight.
Instead of focusing on becoming the type of person who achieves that outcome.
Precisely. Becoming a healthy person, for instance. The underlying beliefs are what drive the actions long term.
That story about Brian Clark and nail biting really nailed this point. Pun intended, maybe.
Yeah, he tried willpower, it didn't really stick. But getting a manicure?
Suddenly he felt pride in his nails.
Right. That changed his identity. He wasn't someone who bites nails anymore. He was someone who took care of them. It attacked the habit at the root.
So pride in some aspect of yourself can really fuel the habits that maintain it.
Definitely. If you identify as a runner, you're more likely to run. If you see yourself as a reader, you make time for books.
And Clear gives that practical question: what would a desired identity do?
Yeah, like what would a healthy person do right now? Would they grab the soda or the water, scroll endlessly, or go for a walk?
It's like a constant internal check-in, acting your way into that new identity.
My friend used that exact question constantly when she lost over 100 pounds. What would a healthy person choose?
And over time, Clear says, those actions don't just get you results.
They actually change your beliefs about yourself, which is profound, really.
Okay, so this identity piece sets up his framework nicely. The 4 laws of behavior change.
Yep. He boils every habit down to this 4-step loop. Cue, craving, response, reward.
The cue, that's the trigger, right? What kicks things off.
Exactly. It tells your brain, hey, initiate this behavior. Originally, cues were about survival, food, water, danger.
But now, it's often about things like money, approval, status, secondary rewards.
Totally. Then comes the craving. That's the motivation, the desire to change your state.
The wanting.
The wanting, precisely. The response is the habit itself, the action or thought.
And finally, the reward, which does 2 things.
Right. 1, it satisfies the craving. 2, and maybe more importantly, it teaches your brain, this was good. Remember this. Do it again. It closes the loop.
And his point is, if any one of these steps is weak or missing,
The habit won't stick. No cue, no start. Weak craving, no motivation. Too hard a response, you won't do it. Unsatisfying reward, no repetition.
all 4 need to be solid. Okay, let's dig into law number 1. Make it obvious.
Make it obvious. This is all about awareness, making the cues for good habits stand out, and becoming more conscious of our existing habits, even the unconscious ones.
Like that paramedic story, how she instantly knew something was wrong with her father-in-law.
Yeah, just subtle cues that her trained mind picked up subconsciously. Experience builds that awareness.
So how do we make our non-conscious habits more conscious?
He suggests this technique, pointing and calling. Sounds simple, but it's used in high-risk industries.
You literally point at something and say what it is.
Yep, and the results are kind of staggering. He mentions like an 85% drop in errors, 30% fewer accidents in some places.
Wow. Even the NYC subway used a version just pointing, and it cut down mistakes.
Yeah, birthing errors dropped significantly.
Yeah.
It forces you out of autopilot and into conscious awareness.
So actively engaging makes you notice things, like your wife calling out packing list items.
Exactly. It's the same principle. It brings intention back because the more automatic a habit becomes.
The less you think about it, you just go through the motions.
And you miss things, opportunities for improvement, or even signs that something's wrong.
Okay, so how do we apply this to building good habits? Make those obvious.
One powerful tool is using implementation intentions. That British study on exercise was eye-opening.
The one where they got super specific.
Super specific. I will exercise for 20 minutes on day at time and place. That group had a 91% success rate.
91% compared to just being motivated or having no plan.
Way higher. It shows that vague intentions like I'll exercise more just don't cut it. Specificity is king.
It gives the habit a time and place to live in your schedule, makes it real.
And Clear also notes when you have that specific plan, it's easier to fend off distractions. You know what you should be doing.
Makes sense. What's the other big strategy for making things obvious?
Habit stacking. Linking a new habit to one you already do reliably.
The formula? After current habit, I will new habit.
Exactly. He uses that Diderot story. The guy gets a fancy robe, then suddenly needs all new fancy furniture to match.
Right, the Diderot effect. One thing leads to another.
While he doesn't fully unpack the effect itself, the core idea of habits chaining together is central to habit stacking. You leverage an existing pathway.
So like, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Or, after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. You use the momentum of the existing habit.
But you need to pick the right anchor habit. Right, something solid.
Absolutely. And consider the context, the environment. Stacking meditation onto a chaotic morning might not work well. Find the right moment.
And be specific with the cue, not just after lunch, but after I put my plate in the dishwasher.
The more precise the cue, the better the trigger.
And this leads right into the environment's role, which he really hammers home.
Oh, hugely. Our surroundings shape our behavior much more than we realize. We tend to take the path of least resistance, the most obvious option.
Why there's junk food at the checkout, or why certain brands seem to be everywhere. Availability is a powerful cue.
He even makes a quick biological point. Eagle's eyesight. Snake smell? Organisms are tuned to pick up relevant cues in their environment.
So for us, designing our environment is key. A stable place where good cues are prominent.
Yeah, a place for everything. It makes forming habits easier because the cues are reliable.
And the flip side, bad habits can create downward spirals.
Totally. They can be autocatalytic. Stress leads to comfort eating, leads to guilt, leads to more stress.
Yeah.
A vicious cycle fueled by environmental cues.
And his point about not being able to truly forget a habit is sobering.
The pathway exists. You can break the pattern, but resisting temptation in a cue-rich environment, that's tough long-term. Willpower alone isn't enough.
So designing your environment to minimize those bad cues is critical.
Absolutely critical. Control the environment, control the cues.
Okay, summing up Law 1. Make it obvious. Use a habit scorecard for awareness. Create implementation intentions for clarity. Use habit stacking to link habits. And design your environment to manage cues.
Nailed it. Ready for Law 2.
Let's do it. Law 2. Make it attractive.
This one's about motivation. How do we make ourselves want to do the good habits?
He kicks off talking about supernormal stimuli, like exaggerated cues.
Yeah, Nico Tinbergen's work with birds. The idea is that amplified versions of natural triggers can provoke an even stronger response.
And he connects that to modern life, like processed foods.
Exactly. That dynamic contrast, crunchy and creamy, salty and sweet. Food scientists engineer these things to be almost irresistibly attractive to our brains. Hyper-palatable.
Creating supernormal stimuli for our taste buds, basically. Tricky stuff.
It is. And then there's dopamine. This is fascinating.
Used to think it was just about pleasure, right? The reward feeling.
That was the old view. Now we know it's much more about anticipation, motivation, desire.
Like the gambling addicts getting the dopamine hit before the bet, or addicts seeing drug paraphernalia.
Precisely. Dopamine spikes when the cue appears, driving the craving, the wanting. It's the engine of desire.
That graph, figure 9, shows it well. Early on, dopamine spikes with the reward.
But once the habit is learned, the spike shifts earlier, right after the cue. You anticipate the reward.
And if the reward doesn't come when expected,
Dopamine plummets. Disappointment, frustration. That reinforces learning too. That didn't work out.
and delayed rewards can even give a double spike.
Yeah, anticipation spike at the cue, then another when the reward finally lands. Makes the whole sequence more memorable.
So our brains are wired to chase predicted rewards. How does this apply to making good habits attractive?
Well, look at the Polgar sisters in chess. Intense practice, but they were raised to find it enjoyable, attractive.
So associating hard things with positive feelings works.
It does. And our social environment plays a massive role here. Who we surround ourselves with shapes what we find attractive.
Peer pressure can be good then, if you're in the right group.
Absolutely. Like Mike Massimino's robotics class, so many future astronauts. Or your best friend's IQ influencing yours. We soak up the norms and values around us.
The Ash conformity experiments show that pull pretty strongly too. People agreeing with wrong answers just to fit in.
Deep-seated need for belonging. So joining a culture where your desired habit is the norm makes it way more attractive.
And Clear says every action starts with a prediction. Our interpretation matters.
Huge point. The same cue cigarette smoke can trigger craving in one person, disgust in another. It's all about our learned associations.
So we can actively try to reframe hard habits, make them feel positive.
Yes, that mindset shift. I get to exercise, not I have to. Associate it with positive feelings, benefits, identity.
Like Ed Lattimore using headphones, even without music, to trigger focus. A motivation ritual.
Brilliant example. He conditioned himself. The headphones became a cue for concentration because he paired them with focused work and maybe enjoyable music initially.
So, Law 2 strategies include temptation bundling, pairing wants and needs.
Right, like only watching your favorite show while on the treadmill.
Joining a culture where the habit is normal.
Leveraging that social influence.
And creating a motivation ritual. Make the start attractive.
Exactly. Link it to something you enjoy.
Okay, moving on. Law 3. Make it easy.
This one feels almost counterintuitive sometimes, but it's crucial. It's about reducing friction.
And he stresses repetition over just time spent, right? Frequency matters most.
Frequency is key for automating a habit, like those London cabbies developing larger hippocampi from navigating the city.
And that's shrinking when they retire. Use it or lose it for brain pathways, too.
It's like George Lou said way back in 1860, repetition cuts a pathway in the brain, making it automatic.
And we naturally follow the law of least effort. We gravitate towards easy.
We absolutely do. So if you want to build a good habit, make it ridiculously easy to start. Reduce the friction.
And for bad habits,
Increase the friction. Make them harder to do.
the gym example is perfect. On your commute, easy. Across town, friction.
Simple, but it makes a huge difference. Laying out workout clothes, prepping healthy snacks, reducing those little barriers.
He compared it to Japanese lean production, making the right way the easiest way.
Yeah, redesigning processes to remove wasted effort. It boosts efficiency and reliability. Same principle applies to habits.
And lots of modern tech does this: meal kits, ride sharing, texting. They remove friction.
They make the desired outcome easier to achieve. That's why they're habit forming.
So for bad habits, putting the phone away, deleting apps, hiding junk food.
All examples of increasing friction, making the undesired behavior require more effort.
Then there's the 2-minute rule. This seems really powerful for starting out.
Incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Make the very beginning of the habit take less than 2 minutes.
Read 1 page, do 1 push-up, meditate for 1 minute.
Exactly. The goal isn't mastery at first. It's mastering the art of showing up. Standardize before you optimize.
Get the routine established first, like that reader who lost 100 pounds starting with just 5 minutes at the gym.
Perfect illustration. Build the habit of going first. Then worry about duration or intensity later.
And even keeping habits easy once established, like Greg McKeown stopping journaling before it feels like a chore.
Yeah, or Hemingway stopping writing when he knew what came next. Prevents burnout, keeps it feeling manageable, less like a burden.
What about commitment devices, like Victor Hugo locking his clothes away?
Classic. Those work by increasing the friction for bad habits in the present to ensure better choices in the future. Pre-commitment.
Making it harder to backslide later.
Right. And automation via technology is another way to make things easy. Auto savings, bill pay.
Setting it up once to benefit repeatedly. Good for those important but infrequent tasks.
Definitely. So Law 3 is all about manipulating friction, less for good habits, more for bad ones. Make the good path the easy path. Got it. And finally, Law 4, make it satisfying.
The crucial payoff loop. This law determines if you'll repeat the behavior.
The cardinal rule. What's immediately rewarded gets repeated. What's immediately punished gets avoided.
Simple but profound. Positive feelings build habits, negative feelings kill them. The first 3 laws get you to do it this time.
Law 4 gets you to do it next time.
Exactly. And the key is immediate satisfaction. Even small wins count. That feeling of success signals this was worth it.
Because the big rewards from good habits often take time, right? Better health, more energy. Those aren't instant.
Right. So you need little immediate reinforcers along the way to bridge that gap. Keeps you motivated.
Which is where habit tracking comes in.
It provides immediate visual proof of progress. Moving paper clips, checking boxes, seeing a streak build. That feels good now.
Like Benjamin Franklin's chart or Seinfeld's Don't Break the Chain, it makes the progress tangible and satisfying.
And it does. But there's a caution there too.
Goodhart's law. Don't let the metric become the only goal. Exactly. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Use tracking as a guide, not the ultimate prize. Don't optimize for the number at the expense of the real purpose.
Makes sense. What about habit contracts? Making promises, maybe with consequences.
Another powerful tool for satisfaction or dissatisfaction for bad habits. A formal agreement, maybe with an accountability partner.
Like Brian Harris's public weight loss contract. High stakes.
Yeah. Having someone else involved adds social consequence. You don't want to look lazy or untrustworthy. That provides an immediate cost to failing.
So it makes skipping the habit immediately unsatisfying.
Exactly. It makes the consequences immediate, not distant.
Yeah.
So Law 4 strategies, use reinforcement, make it immediately satisfying, track your habits, and crucially, never miss twice.
Never miss twice. Why is that so important?
Missing once is an accident. It happens. Yeah. Missing twice. That's the beginning of a new unwanted habit. It breaks the momentum. Get back on track quickly.
Okay, those are the 4 laws. He also covers some advanced tactics.
Yeah, it touches on things like finding your niche where your natural inclinations give you an edge. Mentions genetics playing a role.
The explore-exploit balance, trying new things versus mastering current ones. And luck, acknowledging its role.
Right. And Scott Adams's idea of combining skills to be unique, reduce competition. Win by being different.
And the Goldilocks rule. Staying challenged, but not overwhelmed.
Peak motivation happens when tasks are right at the edge of your ability. Not too easy, boring, not too hard, discouraging, like Steve Martin adding just a minute or 2 to his routine each year.
And the biggest threat long-term?
Yep.
Boredom.
Yeah. Habits become routine, less exciting. That's where discipline comes in. Professionals stick to the schedule even when motivation wanes. Amateurs get derailed.
Habits create the foundation, freeing up mental energy for higher-level stuff.
Exactly. And for long-term growth, reflection and review are vital. Looking back, seeing what's working, what's not.
Like Pat Riley's 1% improvement focus with the Lakers. Or top athletes like Kipchoge and Ledecky tracking everything.
Meticulous review. I find my own annual reflection and integrity report really helpful for staying aligned. Are my habits serving my values?
Ada's thoughts on happiness. Fleeting. The space between desires.
Yeah, interesting perspective. Desire starts it. Pleasure sustains it. Motivation leads to action. But success leads to repetition.
And he gives credit to his influences, too, which is great. The Bauta, Duhigg, Eyal, Fogg.
Always good to acknowledge the shoulders you stand on. Bill's done a lot of great work.
So, wrapping it all up, the core message really is about those small, consistent changes.
Tiny shifts in your systems, your identity.
Yeah.
Compounding over time into really significant results. It's incredibly empowering.
And it's all actionable. These aren't just theories. You can try these laws out.
Definitely encourage you to experiment. See what clicks for you with the 4 laws.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. What's one tiny habit, just one thing, you could try to make 1% better starting today?
Yeah, focus on that process, not just the big goal. And think. What identity does that tiny improvement reinforce for you?
Definitely food for thought. And worth diving deeper into Atomic Habits itself and the work of those other experts.
It's a journey, always more to learn and refine. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.